Hi everyone, and welcome to the eighth session. Today we'll be talking about code style um, and kind of what options there are in terms of official code style guides, um, and what packages exist to help with enforcing and conforming with these style guides. In general, this session will be a bit about like functions, but like on a bit of a more advanced level, right? Like not just how to write functions, but when and how to write good functions. And you already see like a sneak peek of what we'll be able to do in the corner there. So let's first talk about style guides. So style guides are a way of formalizing best practices into a set of then coherent kind of rules that can be talked about and checked. So instead of just telling people, hey, don't write like messy code, write clean code, which of course is super vague. Everyone has like a different feeling about this. We actually arrive at one coherent guide that has explicit rules, often also like justifications for these rules. And then you can go through this guide and then refer to it whenever there's like a rule that's not being followed. And yeah, there's no just like one guide out there. There's actually multiple. So the two big ones for R at least, of course every language has its own, is the Tidyverse style guide and the Google one. And these are very much related actually with just like minor differences. And I think in this course and also in general, people usually work with Tidyverse one, but also the Google one, it is also common and popular. So just so you know it. And you can also, if you follow these links, and I highly suggest you to, you can find these style guides there. They're actually like in quite a nice and readable format, and they kind of tell you some of the rules they suggest. And yeah, also I think sometimes with reasoning even as to why you should do this, or often it's also very it just makes sense intuitively. And they also have some examples of like good and bad code. It's really nice. I suggest you to check these out to also help you, of course, improve your R's writing style. Because really, in the long run, it makes a big difference. Then the first package to help with this. So that's this for scanning for issues and then notifying you about it, basically. And that is called linter. And linting is kind of the common verb referred to this. And what it basically does is you have some code. So here, for example, and yeah, it's not the cleanest function I wrote here. So it's going to suggest some improvements. And of course, this is just based on like automated kind of code parsing. So it cannot help you with everything, right? Like there will always be some issues where you could maybe write something better that only a human can detect or something. But still, it's really helpful to just have to have something that will tell you whether you're conforming to these official rules. So I can suggest you to run this every once in a while on your code. It supports markdown files and understands that like some of it is just markdown. That's not our code. And then it gives you this list of like potential issues. And it's very thorough. So if you run your code in there, like it's almost always going to find like a few things. Of course, you don't need to do everything in there, but it really, if your code is completely conforming with linter, it is going to be significantly better. I can definitely tell you this. Although sometimes it can be annoying to follow these style guides. It's usually almost always worth it. Exactly. So it generates a list of potential issues in your code. And sometimes it's even related to like issues that could potentially affect the outcome from your code, which can be surprising, I feel. And yeah, it even works in like big projects. So it comes with these three functions, and of course more, but like these are the big ones that you want to use. So lints a file, lint-dir lints a whole directory. So like if you just have a folder, you can just put it and it's going to read everything in there, which is really nice. And lint package will read a whole R package. And I think that it just automatically ignores some files that you don't want to look at and stuff. So also, again, really, really nice. And we'll definitely play around with this in the session, in the in-person session. And next up we have the styler. And with styler, you can automatically format your code to conform with any code style rules. So it's basically the automatic helper for linter. So that's how you can think of it. So that it looks at the issues that linter also detects and then tries to solve as many of these as possible. I'm already saying not all of them, because some of these things, like, it's just not that trivial how to solve them, and there might be multiple options, or it might affect the outcome of your code. So linter is really like careful with not to mess with your code too much, and never to like do anything that could affect functionality. Because just some of these things can be like really complicated, especially to have like an algorithm that how automatically solves these issues, right? And then you just need a person to do these changes, which then of course would be you. And you can see here how I had like some messy function and then fixed it, or at least auto-style parts of it, using the style active file from the dropdown plugin. But about how to use these in practice, we'll talk about in person, in the in-person session. And again, this package also comes with 3 functions. It's basically the same as the linter, some different naming, but you can definitely you can basically like style a file, a directory, or a whole package. And each of these functions does exactly what you think it does. And I almost always suggest people to just run styler on their code, because usually it doesn't, like, it's always for the better. It doesn't solve all your issues, but like it's usually almost always like better after than it was before, which is really, I mean, it's really nice to have something so convenient where you just call this function once and everything's like starts slightly better. But again, I mean, you might not be happy with what it does to your code. And then this is actually something where I feel Git comes in very handy, right? Because you can just have your whole code in Git, and if you have it all committed, you can just run style on your whole or package or directory or project or whatever, and it's going to change everything. And then you can just look at the changes in Git and keep only the ones that you actually want. So there's again like where these, and I guess in the course a lot of this comes up, right? Like we teach all these different parts, but like the synergies of course are like amazing of bringing everything together. And that's it for this video. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again.